Hello, I'm Ward Bell, VP of Technology at IdeaBlade, and I'm pretty excited about this video, which is really a recording, slightly edited, of an informal session that I did with my great colleague Kim Johnson in the early days of DevForce in Azure. Our goal was to take an existing sample application that did a lot of DevForce kind of stuff and just see what it took to get it to the cloud. And that application is Prism Explorer, which has been around for quite a while. It was originally designed for Silverlight 2, and we've kind of nudged it along to Silverlight 4 without actually updating the UI or the user experience, which is a bit antiquated. But the important thing is that it illustrates all the basic mechanics of a DevForce application, and you'll see that. And that's what's really important, because if we can get this into Azure, you're going to be fine running your application in Azure. In the video, you'll see that we go through 4 essential steps. The first, we take this application, which was not written for Azure, and just try and make it run locally in the simulation of Azure that's on your desktop that Microsoft calls the Developer Fabric, or Dev Fabric for short. Once we've got it going there, what we're going to do is put one foot into the cloud. We're going to connect the local instance of Prism Explorer to a Northwind database that we've got already pushed up into SQL Azure in the cloud. So we'll be running locally, but reaching out to SQL Azure data. Then, once we get that going, we're ready to say, let's put both feet in the cloud, and we're going to take the whole application, the boss, even the Zap, and we're going to push that up into Windows Azure. We're going to put it in the staging area, which is where you would move stuff so that you could verify that it was working the way you wanted it to work in the cloud before you let the rest of the world see it. And once we've established that it's doing what we want it to do, then we'll swap it into production and let everybody have at it. Now, there's one step that we don't call out, and it's a critical step, which is that in order to do anything with Azure and Visual Studio, you have to run Visual Studio as administrator. If you're not running as administrator, you'll be stopped cold, so you'll want to make a note of that when you're trying this at home. And without further ado, let's get going. Okay, here we are, Kim. What are we doing?
We're going to add a cloud service project to our existing solution.
Let's try that. Add a project. When open. Cloud. Hey, there's only one choice. What shall we call this? We'll call this Prism Cloud.
Sure.
Sound good to you? What did you call yours? Just interesting.
Prism Cloud Service.
No kidding.
And we just hit OK here. We do not add anything.
Well, that's going to make a web role, isn't it? Oh,
we don't add anything. I'll explain it later.
Ooh!
Under the roles note there, right-click, add web role project and solution. And I know there's not one. It's going to find our web project for us. And just say OK. So this is going to convert our web project into a web role project. Now, it didn't actually do anything special other than mark it as a role there and set up the configuration. In a true web role project that you add through the templates, it'll also give you a little web role class that lets you handle like configuration changes and stuff like that.
But we know this is going to get us off the ground.
It'll get us off the ground. Okay.
And that's always something I could do myself later when I was off the ground.
Yes. Let's look at our web config.
In here? Okay, there it should be.
And we were first going to try this in the Dev Fabric before moving it up to the cloud. So here in the Dev Fabric, we're going to need to set something on our service hosting environment element, which is near where your mouse is, where it says ASP.NET
Service
compatibility.
model.
Right in there.
Right in here. ASP.NET compatibility.
And we're going to add multiple site. It's an attribute on this same element. So.
It's an attribute. Excellent. So what do we call it?
Multiple site. We should get some.
We should get some IntelliSense here?
We should get some IntelliSense.
There we go.
There we go.
That guy.
And we're going to say true.
And what else will I need?
And just that.
Cool. What's next?
All right. We're currently pointing to a local database, so that's good. And we have the entity framework assembly set up. Good. Let's
That's what
see.
this is right here. That's the entity framework.
Yeah. Right.
Is this all okay too, the logging?
For the Dev Fabric, yeah, we'll turn it off.
When it comes time.
Or we can turn it off now if you want, if we don't care about it. Let's give it a shot running in the Dev Fabric.
So you're just saying if I rock right now, it's going to go into the Dev Fabric? Mm-hmm. Do I have to make anything the startup project? Oh, it is already. Oh, it did that to
The Prism
itself.
Cloud will be the startup project.
How about it did that to
then
itself?
it'll figure out what it wants to do.
Let's let it go.
Oh, there was one more thing, but
That's okay. We'll see it crash.
Because you have an app config in your Silverlight application, which we want to remove. So we'll see it crash.
Waiting for Rollins to start. Here we go. Launching a browser.
And it should fail with a service not found.
Not yet, it doesn't.
Well, it's going to fail somewhere in here when it
Here it's logging in.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
That was my fault.
No, it's not. There's no fault involved. This
Okay.
is part of the experience.
Okay. So let's close this.
Uh-huh.
You have an app config here in your Silverlight application, which we don't actually need anymore.
That's your right. Well, that would be right here in old Mr. Shell.
Uh-huh.
So because I might need it back in home base, I'm going to just...
Actually, you shouldn't need it in home base. There's no reason, if you want to look at it, there's no reason you should need it at all. It's probably just
this is a relic.
people.
This is a
It's
relic
a total relic.
from the early days.
So let's delete it.
Oh gosh, that's making me feel even better. I love deleting.
And now it should actually work this time.
You think it's going to run?
Because it'll by default pick up the right address. Oh, we didn't refresh. Or we rebuild.
We didn't.
No, we must have missed it.
It's true. I just clicked go, and it doesn't see that I did that because it's an app config. To make this really happen,
Just rebuild your shell. Yeah.
Logging in. All right, we did not get a failure, and let's see if we get customers. We do indeed. Is that wonderful or what? And here we are in the Dev Fabric.
In the Dev Fabric. Let's go to the next step and go to SQL Azure. We'll point to the database that we've already got up in SQL Azure.
That's right, because you punched that up there earlier, and that's going to be an entirely different lesson about how to do that.
That will be an entirely different lesson.
Okay, so how do I find our...
Okay, actually, if you want to, we can go to the portal right now, and you can play in the portal. So let's go to sql.azure.com.
Okay.
Okay, we have one project. And we have our Northwind database here.
Nice.
And we also see up above our server information. Which,
So this is public information, the server name. That's...
No one can get to it.
So we needed this information here.
We need it, but I think we're going to have to copy it anyway from my existing web config because I don't remember all the different pieces.
Okay, next up.
Okay, so we're going to be changing the connection string here, or adding a new one.
As we look across, there's our
And
friendly.
Note the whole name, the server name.database.windows.net. You need the whole thing. You have to use SQL authentication, so we've got our user and password in there, highly secure.
Well, they will never know. We won't tell them about that.
All right. Encryption you don't need, but why not turn it on? Multiple result sets.
We always need Mars.
Yeah, so
We always had Mars, but so the only thing that's really new here
is
that little encrypt and the fact that we're using a username and password instead of Windows, and of course the name. Looking good, okay. And because we're now calling it this, it will use that instead of local. Which is we're just holding on to this for future reference.
All right, let's save and build and try it again. And this time we'll be running in the Dev Fabric, but talking to a SQL Azure
Got it.
database.
How would I know that I was actually going?
I have a dummy record in the customer table in the SQL Azure customer table.
Let's go find that customer then. So where will what's the name of our dummy record?
The company name, it starts with an H.
House of Pain?
House of Pain, that would be it.
Yes, that would be it.
Okay, so we're in SQL Azure.
We are in the cloud. Partly. We only got 1 foot in the cloud.
1 foot.
Let's get the other foot up there?
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Let's go back up to the top of our web config here. We're going to turn off the log file. If we leave the log file on, it actually does not cause
A problem.
but it won't
log either.
It'll throw some exceptions that are caught, but might as well turn it off.
Okay, just did that.
All right. Go to Solution Explorer. We're also going to want to turn off Dev Storage, which is right-click on the under Roles, the Prism Explorer Web. No, the Prism Explorer Web, the next one. Right-click it and do Properties.
Ooh, this is a whole trust thing. And we have to run full trust,
We're going to run full trust. I haven't tried it without, but DevForce has usually needed full trust. We will not play with the instance count now because if we have any failures during deployment, it will be extremely time consuming.
And we also can only afford for free to have one instance.
Okay, the settings. We're going to change this. The diagnostics have all been going to development storage. You leave it at connection string over on the right. There's little ellipses, and we're going to change this to point to some development storage or some storage that I did stick out there. And if we go back to the portal for a second, we can see it. And go to Windows Azure, not App Fabric. And I'd created it for one of the labs, guestbook, service, and storage, but
Oh, this
we
one?
don't. Yeah, storage.
do you want
And
storage?
I've just been using that. It has a name that we're going to have to use here. Okay.
Oh, is this all secret stuff?
Yeah. Well, we're going to copy the primary access key.
And we're going to put it where?
And let's go back to Visual Studio. And under account key. Okay. Under account name, it was. You won't find anything there. It's DFTEST001. It was on the portal. That lowercase.
Do you recommend lowercase generally here?
I have no idea. This is what I gave it, and I don't know if it's case sensitive. Go back to the portal for a second. See the name, dftest001.blob.q.table,
where will it find
up in
this?
endpoints.
Hey, how about that?
So that's the name that we're using here, dftest. The thing to remember here is leave it at the HTTPS. You have to use HTTPS period for this because it doesn't work without it.
Okay.
And will fail.
Okie dokie.
Now, the big question will be how to access these wonderful diagnostics. But okay, so we've changed our connection string. Let me see what else.
This is
do
a
we want.
connection string for diagnostics.
Diagnostics,
It's
yeah.
nothing to do with the database.
No. In fact, here we can look and go to our Solution Explorer again. And look at these next two files under this, the CSFG, which is, we see the diagnostic
did a
connection
nice job
string.
to put it right in there.
Put it in there for us. And the other config file, or service definition file, is
Saying that we're using it.
we're using it. Okay. So if we save that,
And all this other stuff, we're
Yes.
just trying to get going.
we're just trying to get going.
All right, so we're going to close this puppy, which was helping us configure those two configuration files, which is the tool.
Yes.
And now what do I need to save this guy. What else do I need to do, Kim?
We're no longer using dev storage. We're not writing to the file system. We're using the correct connection string. We would ordinarily need to look at our references at this point for our any assemblies that might not be part of, and actually we should probably do that anyway, although I looked at it earlier.
So
All
I
the
have all
i-
these and all copy locals.
They all have to be copy local.
And
All of your Prism stuff needs to be copy local.
let's make sure. Copy local is true. The Prism stuff is on the Silverlight side, so
Okay,
so we don't need any of that.
that'll be part of the ZAP.
This is the model, so that's going to
gonna be
automatically.
copy local.
Any of these are expected to be there, right?
Those all should be there, yeah, which isn't necessarily really well documented. Is even the EF, the system.data.entity is there.
Right. Is not, oh, yes, this has to be copy local.
No, it does not.
Really?
It does not.
Oh, Bruno had it that you had to be.
Well,
but you found otherwise.
I found that it did work, and all the rest of those are also part. Oh, Did I have Windows base?
I think Windows base is a relic, but I'm not going to worry about it.
Okay, but I don't think I had to change anything. And let's see, what else do we have? We have a default ASPX page, which is good because if we didn't have a default page, we would run into problems.
Right, because if we had one of the sort of typically generated test pages, it would be unhappy. But it's I like doing this anyway.
It would be unhappy. Our standard template uses the default ASPX, so we're good there.
Oh, good. And here is indeed our app being referred to properly. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're using the same cloud role, web role, to do two functions. It's one function is to act as the server, and the other to be the location where you retrieve your zap.
Correct. And once it's deployed to the cloud and load balanced, should we set up multiple instances, those could be different URLs.
And then we have to worry about cross-policy, possibly.
And then and that's a good point. We would need to add a client access policy at that point. At this point, we don't need it.
Because they're both coming from the same address.
Because we're deploying one instance, and they're coming from the same address. But certainly once we moved to two instances or more, we would need it.
Gotcha.
It will take about 10 or 15 minutes to deploy, so let's actually try to make sure that we've got everything here.
There's no real way to test at this point. We just have to fire it up there.
Let's, I would like to make sure you do another build.
Let's do another build.
So we haven't forgotten anything.
Want me to do a clean and build?
No.
Well, let's add a build.
Okay. First we can publish in two different ways. So right click on the Prism Cloud and say choose publish up at the top. Fourth. Okay, there's two different ways of doing this. You can create a package and then kind of import that package into the portal. Or you can do it here through Visual Studio as long as we set up some credentials that require a certificate. If you like, we can set up the credentials now.
Is that what's the recommended way?
I've done it both ways. You get more information if you do it through Visual Studio.
I like more information, so our viewers.
Okay, so hopefully, I think this wizard will just walk us through what we need to do.
I don't know that I have any existing ones.
And just...
So just create, or you think I can use them?
I don't know what that is, but you can use it if you want.
I have no idea, so let's use it. What the heck?
Okay, so it's going to want you to copy the full path. It's going to want you to...
Now what?
We're following along here with what it says. Copy. Okay, this is our subscription ID. Go back to the portal. Go to one of the. Oh, you know what? Go to account. That should have the tab for account.
I always thought I had to do something like this.
Yeah, select your project and then go to account. Okay.
There we go.
The subscription ID. Yeah. And we're going to copy that into this wizard we're using here.
Maybe I'd name this Prism Cloud?
I don't know.
Now, there was something else. Copy the full path. I got it.
Okay, and it says what? Okay, browse to the API certificates page of the developer portal and upload the certificate. So we should do that. Portal.
I say okay. We can do that.
Okay, manage my certificates, and we're going to want to upload. And you're going to want to. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to browse and upload. Okay, browse to the folder that we just copied. No.
Oh, it did.
No. Okay, and now we upload.
Didn't matter what I called it. It's calling it Word.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay, so now back to the wizard.
Back to the wizard.
Okay, we should be good now. Okay.
Okay, so we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. We can put it in DF Cloud Service Staging. I'm sorry about the name, but that's
perfectly good.
Slot
that's where we're using right now. We've taken over our other.
Yes.
We're replacing our existing test one with another one. And what's
storage is the only storage account we have right now, so we're going to use that.
Right, and that's what it says.
We can give it any name we want.
And today is The 9th?
Yeah.
You know what? That's a pretty good name. That says right now. And are we using IntelliTrace?
The only way to debug once we're in the cloud is with IntelliTrace, but let's not do it now because it slows everything down in terms of deployment, and let's hope that we don't have any problems that we need it. So let's
say OK.
Say OK.
And it's building again, and its publishing has started.
Okay.
And this is going to go for a while.
It's asking us whether it can delete the existing one, which is fine.
We do want that.
Yeah. Okay, here we've got our activity log, and it will take a good 10 or 15 minutes.
Well, let's stop the tape and let it grind. So it says it's complete. It didn't. Let's see. How long does it say it took? Started at 3:27, 3:37. That was 10 minutes, and it actually said it was complete down here earlier. So now what do we do? Now how do we find out that it didn't work?
Well, it's giving us the URL. We can either access it here or from the portal to see how it didn't work.
Well, what should we do? Should I just click this guy?
Yeah, I've never actually tried it from Visual Studio, and hopefully it will use Internet Explorer and not try to open it within Visual Studio.
It says it's trying.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, there it is. Logging in. Well, got past that stage, and look at that address. Now that's something you'd want to type in at home. Let's see if
we're in the staging right now. We're in the staging area of the cloud,
right. So
and we'll be able to move it to production.
As we will if it proves
in
itself.
Just a few minutes.
So here's Entity Framework cranking up. The next time we do something, I would expect it to be a little swifter. And let's see if it does projections. Okay, that's into an object. Let's try a complete anonymous projection. Didn't mind that. I do have to have some kind of a customer. Let's try this guy. There it goes. That's Steven. Why am I going to get in trouble for my German pronunciation?
You want to try to do a save? I don't think we tried a save before, did we? And
I don't know. Let's add a new customer. Our cloud, and there's a validation thing that says it has to have one of these. Oh yes, my fancy interface here requires that I close that. So here's our cloud, and we will save. And I will clear the entity manager, and I will requery, and I will sort, and I will go down to the O's. There it is, right there. And now I will delete that guy, and I will save. And just to prove that I'm not holding on to it, I will clear again, and I will get these guys, and I will sort by this, and there's your house of pain, but no cloud cover. So that worked. All the rest of these things relate to the pure Silverlight side, so they don't have anything to do with the cloud. I can try another weird query. Let's see, customer starting with AC or E. A, C, E. Well, it just shouldn't be that easy.
No, it shouldn't. Back to Windows Azure, the summary, yeah.
Summary.
And choose DF Cloud.
And I have something in staging.
Yeah, we have scroll down so we can see it all. Okay, we have.
So this is the one you did earlier, right?
That's the one I did earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got what we've got in staging, and we could now push it by that wonderful little button there between the two.
This guy.
Yeah, that'll push it to production for us. Now, I haven't ever done this before. With something already in production.
It's kind of cool because what it does is actually it swaps these guys so that if you had a
Okay,
terrible,
that's interesting.
If this guy was really hopping and we thought we survived staging, and everything was golden.
Well, that's interesting to know. Okay.
Then you could say, "Oh no," and you could bring it back. You'd have one shot to bring it back. So it's kind of like you send it up into stage and then you swap them around.
And the good news is to push it to production is very fast compared to the push to staging.
It does look kind of like it's moving along there. Well, I guess that's done.
And now we'll see our URL is
This
the
is the one that we would
wonderful
tell the world about.
DF-test003. So if you clicked on that right now, you should hopefully it's ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Sitting here like I'm
waiting-
waiting for
waiting
something
for
to happen.
something.
Waiting for something to
Waiting
happen.
for the data to load.
Yes. Okay. Come on. There are our customers. Indeed, they are. And go to the customer orders. It'll tell me about Alfred's. And if I even go to this other view, and who cares? I go and I look at employees in the UK or US, and there they are. That was reasonably quick. And it's not clever enough to know about double clicking, but here's our fabulous view of the employee form. And meanwhile, we're back here, and that's our link, and I could go send that to somebody, you know, and they could get that, and they could open up their new browser over here.
And we could, of course, always create a new URL for you, more meaningful than DF-test003 if you wanted to put something out here.
I think this tape is done. It just worked.
And remember, we only deployed a single instance to the cloud, so that would be another thing for load balancing as your application grew. You'd want to think about.
We want to think about that, and that'll be a different. There may be some configuration we need to do, at least cross policy files and things like that. And we will come to that at another time. But I'm wrapping it up. Thanks, Kim. That was that went pretty smoothly.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. I hope you were intrigued by what you saw, and that you'll come back to our website, www.ideablade.com, for more videos, more information about DevForce and DevForce in Azure.